If you're looking for a subtle update to your 2019 to 2023 Ranger's sound and look, the MBRP Armor Black exhaust will be a great option for you. Featuring a mellow tone, cool good looks, and a perfect amount of volume for a daily driven truck, this one gives you plenty of good stuff for not a lot of dollars. Now we're going to give this one a 3 out of 5 on our loudness meter, so it is noticeably louder than stock, but it's not too over the top. I've long said that if you want the best sound you can get for the best price, MBRP has your system. The Armor Black setup we have today here certainly exemplifies that. It gives the 2.3 EcoBoost in the Ranger a welcomed injection of attitude. And as you heard from the clips at the beginning of the video, it takes the truck from extremely quiet to something that's nice and burbly. It's got a deeper tone than you might have expected, and it doesn't really get raspy in the top end, unlike a lot of other exhausts on these smaller displacement turbo engines. It kind of puts me in mind of the Focus RS, and that's not a bad thing at all. Now, as always, more noise outside means more noise inside of the cabin, but like the exterior sound, it's not obtrusive. Just a nice low thrum when you're out cruising around, and when you really drop the hammer, then you really get to hear something good. It's perfectly acceptable for a work truck, a daily driver, or a road warrior. This is a full catback system too, so it's going to replace your factory muffler and resonator, leaving you with just this one large canister style muffler. Now this is MBRP's Tour profile, so despite this being straight through, it's going to help keep things pretty subdued, leaving you with that nice tone and solid volume, all while still avoiding drone and other unpleasant noises. As you can hear, this has got quite a bit of baffling in it. And thanks to the 3-inch piping that is larger in diameter than stock, this is going to flow better than your stock exhaust too. That means less back pressure and less restrictions, and those two things can lead to the truck feeling more responsive and making some more power. Now we're not talking about huge gains here, and we're also not going to be able to dyno test this one to verify the numbers, but especially if you're pairing it with other breather mods, you should expect some gains. Now the other cool thing about this system is the end of it, and while this exits in the same location as your factory exhaust, on the passenger side just behind the rear wheel, that's where the similarities end. From the muffler back, all the piping and the tip are going to be finished in this high temp black powder coating. It makes for a nice stealthy look, something much more subtle than even the standard exhaust. And that tip, this is 4 inches in diameter, it's finished in that same black coating, and it has the MBRP logo stamped into the side. So it's a nice visual update for those in the know. The tip is made from T304 stainless steel, and the rest of the system is made up of 3-inch diameter mandrel bent aluminized steel. Now this material is really well suited to a truck that lives in a drier climate or just doesn't see a ton of salt and moisture. However, everything from that muffler back is again finished in that high temp black powder coat, so that's going to provide you some additional protection against rust and corrosion in a spot where you're going to get stuff kicked up by the wheel. And it should help this system last you a while, even if you do encounter some adverse conditions. But the biggest benefit of that material and this exhaust in general is probably the price. Coming in at about $550, this is one of the most affordable exhausts out there for these trucks. It's a great price for something that gives you an excellent sound and some cool good looks, and you've got some additional protection built in too. So really, what more can you ask for? Installation gets a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you around 2 hours to complete. Now this is of course a totally bolt-on job, and it doesn't require you to make any modifications to your vehicle. It's going to utilize all your factory exhaust hanger locations, so this is going to bolt right up. About the only thing you might have to do that's out of the ordinary is make a cut to the extension pipe depending on the cab and bed size you have on your truck. But MBRP includes measurement guides in the kit for you, so you can know exactly which truck needs what, if anything, and we're going to walk you through that whole process right now. So for that, let's head on out to the shop.
For this install, you need a 3/8 impact and ratchet, a 15/13 swivel, an 8mm Allen socket, 15mm wrench, pry bar, mallet, and an exhaust hanger tool. All right, today we're going to be putting an exhaust on our Ranger, but first we're going to watch a quick video on how to install a stock system, then I'm going to come back here to install the new one.
So the first thing we're going to do is unbolt the hanger that's right above our tailpipe. It's one 13mm bolt. I'm going to use a 13mm swivel socket just to give myself a little bit more access.
Now we don't really have a good angle to see this bolt up here, but it's just right above this hanger.
So take that 13mm swivel socket and remove that bolt. Next we're going to come to right in front of our muffler and disconnect this clamp. I've got a 15mm nut on there, so I've got a 15mm socket on my ratchet to loosen that up. So now we've just got these 2 rubber isolators left holding in our exhaust. I've got my buddy at the tailpipe to support the weight while I pop these out, and then we just got to slide this off of our front pipe. I've got a rubber mallet just in case we need it. We can hit the edge of the muffler to slide that off. grab an exhaust hanger remover tool to pop these isolators off. Now I'm going to take that rubber mallet and just give it some taps.
Now before we can get our new exhaust on, this exhaust does go all the way to our flex pipe. So we need to take our flex pipe back off. Now we're gonna start with our clamp up here. Now this is a 15mm nut on top of this. Now since the nut is on top, it's just a little bit of a pain. What I did is I actually got a wrench, and this is actually pretty tight. So I got a pry bar and just went in between this frame here and on my wrench, and I was able just to walk it off and keep loosening it like that. Once you have that loosened, we just keep continuing to loosen up so we can take it all the way off. Once we have this loosened, we're just gonna take our 15mm ratcheting wrench, just loosen it up some more. And you see that nut is pretty loose. Just gonna work it off a little bit. You can actually get your pry bar in here just to loosen that clamp. You'll see that releases. Now we just have a mount further back. On our transmission cross member here, you'll see a 13mm bolt holding our mount on. Grab our 13mm swivel socket and take that off. Now our flange up here is pretty stuck, so we're gonna have to hit that off, especially with our flex pipe here. You can't really pull on it. So just grab a hammer and a pry bar, just tap it off. Now I do have a buddy in the back just to help hold that so when it does come off, otherwise it will just fall down on you. Now we can pull our flex pipe up out of the way. We just need to take our hanger off here. Grab your exhaust hanger tool, just pop that off. All right, now we can swap this over to our new exhaust. Go ahead and start getting that on. Now the only thing we have to do on our factory exhaust is just take off our rear isolator that we unbolted. Now this just simply slides off, but if it is stuck, you just grab your exhaust hanger tool and pop that off. Now we're ready to get our new exhaust onto our truck. Now we're gonna get our new front pipe on. We have our only 2.5-inch clamp over here, have that pointing down so that we can access it through the slot here. Slide it on. We can go ahead and get our factory mount on. So we'll get our factory mount that we took off. Let's get that slid over our hanger and line up in place, and we can thread in our 13mm bolt we took out and go ahead and tighten that down. Next we have our extension pipe. We have one of our 3-inch clamps over here. So we're just gonna slide that onto our front pipe. And then next we have our hanger with our clamp on it that we're gonna get into our factory isolator right there. So next we have our hanger with our clamp. So we're just gonna get that assembled. How you do that, you're just gonna squeeze the clamp, slide it through, and then it'll lock down like so. Just make sure the washers are underneath. Now this is gonna go on over our muffler and then into our hanger. So we have our muffler here. As you can see here, just wanna make sure it's gonna read the logo from the outside. And then we have our hanger on the front of our muffler. Slide that up over our extension pipe. We can slide our hanger into our factory isolator at the same time. Next we have our over the axle pipe. As you can see, I have our 3-inch clamp on the back of our muffler. We're gonna slide this into our muffler and then into our hanger up here. As you can see, that's actually just gonna fall out there. So we're just gonna let that rest until we can get our tailpipe on with our rear hanger, and we can get that one up there so it stays secure. Lastly, we just have our tailpipe before our tip. We're just gonna get our last 3-inch clamp over and put our factory hanger over our pipe. Slide that on. Slide this into our over the axle pipe, and we'll just get this up in position so we can just thread our 13mm bolt into our hanger up here. And we can come back and tighten that down. Grab a ratchet with our 13mm swivel socket, and we'll just tighten this rear hanger down. Just get our last isolator on here. And once we have that on, we can go ahead and start tightening and adjusting our clamps as needed. So we're gonna start tightening our clamps. We have our front one here. So we're gonna have our impact and 15mm socket and tighten that down. So we're gonna go to our next 2 clamps. So we have our front extension pipe and in front of our muffler with our hanger. Both are the same thing, impact and 15mm socket. Next, we have the clamp after the muffler. Same thing, impact and 15. Lastly, we just have our clamp for the tailpipe. I'm gonna tighten that down, still same thing, 15mm socket. Lastly, we just need to put our tip on, so you can adjust that to however far deep or out you want. we're gonna put ours right about there, make sure it's level, grab our impact with an 8mm Allen socket, and tighten that down. And that wraps up our install of our MBRP Armor Black single exhaust system with a rear exit for our 2019 to 2023 Ranger. And remember, for everything Ranger, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.